Welcome back to Ravens Today. I'm your host, Connor Gioffreda, giving you all the latest updates on anything and all things Ravens. Let's dive right into it. Okay, we got a lot to cover because Senior Bowl, man. We got some key prospects here. So, but first off, please make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video. I really do appreciate the support. It's great to have all of you here listening in and tuning in to the show, and I really do enjoy the comments, seeing what people have to say about my opinions, because again, we're all fans here, and we may disagree, may agree, but at the end of the day, just a fan expressing my opinion here. All right. So first up, new game coordinator. The Ravens have hired Charlie Gelman, who was a former Colts assistant. He was now our new dual coordinator, by the way, game management coordinator and defensive assistant coordinator. He replaces Daniel Stern, who goes on to Cleveland with Todd Monken, which, in my opinion, is the best thing that ever could happen to the Ravens in terms of that position, because our game management position was atrocious under John Harbaugh and atrocious under Daniel Stern. Here's why. Because John Harbaugh was extremely conservative when it came to our timeout usage, and pretty much, I think all fans can agree here, it was awful. We were screaming at the TV, telling at him why would you call a timeout now? Why would you do it now? Or why would you waste a challenge? It was stupid, and Stern had a lot of that influence in there. So, okay, Daniel Stern goes to Cleveland, great. He see you later. With Gelman coming in, mind you, this is a homecoming for Gelman, as he has served from he was on the Ravens from 2019 to 2023, being mostly an intern from 2019 to 2022. Then became a football analyst for the Ravens from 2022 to 2023. Now he's coming back. Welcome back, Charlie Gelman, by the way. So pretty much young guys, very young guys still. So this Ravens coaching staff is we're getting young blood. And that's what we need. We need guys that are just see the game a little bit better. It's a little bit like a high risk, high reward situation, because these guys are not as experienced as the older guys, but the game is changing, and we need some young blood to help with adjusting Minter. So we like this hire, and looking forward to seeing us actually use our timeouts and actually use our challenge flags a lot better than we had under John. All right, moving on to the Senior Bowl prospects here. Now, I'm super excited for this draft coming up, but we got a lot of ground to cover, and especially we have a lot of holes that we have to fill. We're not in rebuild again, but we need some key fills to hole. Exactly that. We need to fill the hole. A lot of that. So here's my first up: defensive tackle Caleb Banks from Florida. Polarizing due to injuries. He was very much a player that came into the Senior Bowl practices with kind of like a question mark on his head, because for most of the 2025-26 season, he didn't play. Only played 2 games in that whole season with Florida. But during his practices, he showed a lot of promise and development. It looked like he had not lost a step after, recovering from his own injuries. And he just looked so better and better each day. That is fantastic. We like to see that, because again, a player that shows development, especially even in practices and in between a couple of days, is very promising, because we want a player that can adjust. We want a player that can learn from the coaching staff immediately. So Caleb Banks, awesome prospect to look at. Ended the 2024 season with 21 tackles, 4.5 sacks. Again, did not play a majority of 2025, but that's okay, because from what we were able to see looking at the tape on the Senior Bowl practices, just looked, he looked better and better per practice, and this is a guy that I could definitely see the Ravens looking into, especially with, Matt Abike's status still very much up in the air, but according to Matabike's use in the usage in the last couple of days, it looks like we might possibly get him back. But again, we need defensive tackles, and Banks could be a great developmental asset for the Ravens. Moving on here, so here's a different one here. Georgia Tech, offensive line. Mind you, we need a complete overhaul on the offensive line, minus, I would say, 3 players. Rosengarten, I'll say Ronnie Stanley and Tyler Linderbaum, who we need to pay. But in the case that Linderbaum is not paid, which may or may not happen, still very much up in the air, Kalen Rutledge could definitely be a key asset for the Ravens. Mind you, he has played interior guard his entire playing career, but he took some snaps under center during the Senior Bowl practices, and he looked like he could immediately just adapt, which is great. He took comfort under center, plays primarily guard, meaning that he could be a Patrick McCary type of guy. You guys remember when we had Patrick McCary? He was rotational. He could play the guard, he could play right tackle, he could play center, whatever. He was that guy that the Ravens relied on to fill the holes that when, a guard went down, a left tackle went down, a right tackle went down, whatever. He was there. Rutledge could be that key player for us. And then like a day 3 or 4 pick. But here's the thing. He played interior guard his whole life. Imagine this. We have Emory Jones, who could replace Voorhees, and then, mind you, I'm pretty sure Jesse Minter is going to replace the 2 guards at the least. He's going to say, I don't even know what these guys are doing in this position, and they need to be off this team immediately. This isn't John Harbaugh's pity, they can develop type of thing. No, we're going to protect our quarterback, and we're going to make sure that he has the best protection possible. Rutledge could definitely be a part of that by replacing Daniel Falele, which I would absolutely love. It would even be more bittersweet if he took 77 number from Falele. But we'll have to wait and see. But again, good key prospect here for the Ravens to look at is to fill in multiple holes at the offensive line position. Lastly, we got a good look, and this is a different one, by the way. Division III wide receiver, Aaron Montgomery, from John Carroll University. 119 receptions, 1,528 yards, 15 touchdowns. One of the best wide receivers in the Senior Bowl practices. He had highlight reel catches in the end zone. Mind you, Division III is a lot different, a whole different ballgame in Division I. But again, with this new coaching staff, anything is possible. Getting a guy like this who can make those highlight reel catches could be something that the Ravens could do. Mind you, any time that the Ravens went with a wide receiver in the later rounds, like the 6th or 7th, usually ended up on special teams or played a different position or didn't even end up on the active roster. Mind you, that was a different time. This is a whole new coaching squad, and we have yet to see what they're going to do. So, look, it's a whole different strategy, whole different ballgame now in terms of the Ravens and what our coaching staff looks at. So, Montgomery could be a dark horse here. Look at the stats just say it all. Mind you, again, Division III is a whole different ballgame, but the way that he looked in the Senior Bowl practices and being one of the best guys out there, he could be a dark horse candidate for the Ravens to pick up. Then you'd have Flowers, you'd have Bateman, you'd have Andrews, hopefully, likely, Montgomery finding someplace in there, LeJonte Wester. So, again, good guy, again, Division III it's Division III. It's not as big as Division I. Usually, Division III guys don't really get drafted. They're like a dark horse, undrafted free agent of it, if anything. Montgomery could be a guy that we pick up in the later rounds because we need a guy who can make those contested catches in the end zone. I'm sorry. A good, fast guy. He is that guy. And with, the Ravens do bring back DeAndre Hopkins. D-Hop is past his prime, and we need a speedy guy that can not be another DeAndre Hopkins, obviously, but be something like that, where we can just toss it up, make that contested highlight reel catch in the end zone, and Montgomery could be that pick for the Ravens. Again, whole new coaching staff, whole new staff in general, but minus the front office. But there's a lot to think about here, and we just got to wait and see what the strategy will be for this Ravens squad. Hopefully, any of these guys that we could pick up in the draft, I would love, especially at the defensive tackle position and the offensive line position. Thank you for tuning in to Ravens today. I'm your host, Connor Gioffreda. Again, subscribe to the channel, like the video. I will catch you all later.